Welcome to Talk Legal to Me. We are coming to you from Scottsdale, Arizona at PIMCon Day 2. And we've got Gary Sarner, the founder of ROI 360 Plus. He's here to talk to us about why radio is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And just different ideas when it comes to branding your law firm and different approaches and words law firm owners should use to attract clientele. Gary, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Excellent. It's great to be in your city again, and I am so appreciative to be here.
I'm so excited that you're joining us and taking the time. I know you're super busy during PIMCon, and you have a lot of your own clients that are here. You have so many people in your network that you're speaking with and meeting with, so thanks for taking the time.
Well, hopefully we get to help somebody out in the audience be a little bit better today.
That's right. That's right. So your background and what you do is radio. Take me to the beginnings. How did you get into that? How did you get into radio?
So my father was in consumer electronics and was a very large radio advertiser across the Southeast. And I started hanging out at a radio station in Atlanta.
Wow.
And I was sitting in the studio one day, and I'm going to age myself. The program director comes running in with an 8-track. You know what an 8-track is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a new song. Told the DJ to play this new song. DJ looks at me, says, if it's a hit, the phones will light up in 10 seconds. If it's not, nobody's going to call.
Okay.
Plugs it in. I'm watching the phones. They light up. Lionel Richie, You Are. And I just, even though that's not an exciting song.
Right.
But it became a number one hit. And I always think back to watching the excitement via phone lines.
Right.
And I moved to Miami when I was 20.
Okay.
I was going to be in my dad's business and help grow that.
Sure.
And he decided to sell it.
Okay.
He said, do you want to go back to college? I was like, no,
Yeah.
it's not for me.
Yeah.
He's like, well, you need to go get a job. And I thought about that day in the studio. And I knew people from radio stations that helped my dad with his advertising. And I called up one of the general managers. I said, what is it that you do that you don't work weekends?
Yeah, that's a perk.
Because my dad was in retail. He
Yeah.
was never home.
Oh, yeah.
Never home.
Sure.
Well, needless to say, I ended up getting into radio in February of 87, and I worked every weekend for the next 12 years.
Okay. But did you mind working the weekends? Because probably when you're doing something you love, you don't mind.
100%, right?
Right.
It's there were a lot of late nights, but
Sure.
At the end of the day, if you look at it as though you get to help people,
Right.
who's the end user?
Right.
That's what matters.
Absolutely.
And 35 years later, when I left the radio stations to open up what we call an ad agency, is a radio advocacy, a TV advocacy, a billboard advocacy. We're top of the funnel.
Right.
Because we get to help the end users find amazing lawyers like you.
That's great.
Who are going to help them when they really need it most.
That's great. And that's your company, ROI 360 Plus. And so talk about that. Talk about how you started that company and, what led you to know that you were ready to take that leap?
So I was working in radio. It was probably 23, 24 years. And there was a client in Miami who was upset with his rep and what the radio station was doing. And I don't know this person, but I knew family members.
Okay.
I said, give them to me. I know people will figure it out. And I put my coat and tie on, and I'm going to see a lawyer. I never worked with a lawyer ever in my career.
Okay.
He's in flip-flops, jeans, and a T-shirt. Take your tie down. You come here, we have fun. I'm like, what is that? This isn't a law office.
Yeah.
And to make a long story short, he had a bunch of invoices in his credenza.
Okay.
And the best salespeople could read upside down.
Right.
It's on the top of my desk. You can look at it.
Sure.
Don't move a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I said, do you check those invoices? He's like, my people love me. They take care of me.
Uh-oh.
I'm not going to tell you what I said to him
Sure.
because it's a little crude. But I was like, you're being taken advantage of. For 8.5 years working with this law firm in Miami and watching it grow from a South Florida firm to a statewide juggernaut, going up against Morgan & Morgan
Wow.
in every city,
Yeah.
which is a daunting task,
For sure.
but it worked.
Okay.
It worked. You find the formulas, you find what's right.
Yep.
And Dan Morgan spoke yesterday. I don't know if you saw him.
Yes.
He gave his playbook.
Right.
He opened it up
Yep.
because there are no real secrets.
Sure.
Can you do the follow-up and do what we do?
Yep.
Go for it. There's enough out there for everybody.
Right.
So 8.5 years into it, we're in the middle of the pandemic. And my company, radio company that I worked for, asked me to stop doing his marketing as well. And that gave me the opportunity to really take a look at things. All my kids were basically done with high school
Okay.
and in college.
Sure.
It was time to take the chance that I would not have taken
Before.
10 years ago.
Right.
And I jumped all in.
That's amazing.
Had no intention of working with lawyers exclusively or niching down into
Sure.
that world.
Sure.
But that's what happened when I went to a conference,
Okay. And what was the conference?
National Trial Lawyers in Miami in January.
Great.
And I knew nobody,
Right.
one person, Alex Valencia.
Wow.
And as I'm starting to meet people and talk to people, everybody does TV. Everybody does billboards. Everybody's on the internet because that's your home.
Sure. So in
Your
everyone's
office.
hands. Yeah.
Your office isn't your home anymore. It's
Yeah.
your website.
Right.
Like nobody does radio. Oh, I got something
Yeah.
here. And I pivoted and said,
There you go.
okay, we're going to become the legal marketing experts on the radio.
Right.
And 3.5 years later, we work with 22 firms
That's
in
amazing.
35 markets and have actually changed the legal industry's marketing on the radio
Right.
across the country.
That's incredible.
It's fun.
That's incredible. Talk to me about some of your clients, some of your regions that you either find to be super challenging or, you know, like you said, an untapped market that you just like wanted to dive into because you felt like nothing was being done in radio there.
You know, it's funny. I don't look at it by markets.
Okay.
And I look at it different
Sure.
today than I did 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
Today, it's about people. It's the right fit.
Okay.
No different than opening a law office like you did.
Right.
You just want to help people.
Right.
And at the beginning, anybody will do.
Right.
Somebody call.
Just let that phone ring.
Somebody call.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, phone ring. So my first 3 months, I'm dialing. I'm calling attorney after attorney.
Sure.
And you can't get anybody on the phone. Nobody.
Okay.
Nobody.
Okay.
And I'd like to think I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
Nobody answered the phone.
Okay.
What the fuck am I going to do?
Right. That's scary.
Scary. I'm on Facebook,
Right.
but that's for my friends.
Sure.
It's like, let me try this Instagram thing.
Okay.
I open up an Instagram account.
Yeah.
Then I make one for the agency, ROI 360 Plus.
Right.
And it's funny, you can't use the plus symbol, which is my logo.
Oh.
You have to write out PLUS.
Okay.
So think about that with your brand.
Yeah, it's hard. You're like,
You got to be intentional with this.
sure.
I didn't think about that for Instagram.
Right.
So I go on Instagram and I'm like, wow, now what? I'm seeing all these videos and
Yeah.
I'm only following lawyers.
Okay.
I see these crazy people jumping out from under a table, dude carrying this big phone.
Yeah.
And then I see this guy in a blue suit and a red tie. And he's just so handsome and dapper and just living life and having fun.
Sure.
And I just started stalking.
Him.
Stalking.
You're like, let's be bros.
I'm sure you know who it is.
I think I know.
He's from Atlanta.
I think I know.
Seth Bader.
Yeah. The marketing was good. His Instagram was good. Catchy.
It was intentional.
Yeah, it was super intentional.
One of the first that started paying somebody to help him do it versus like I did it. I'm going to talk to the phone.
Yeah, we all did it.
And whatever comes out, comes out. I get a phone call from him. Well, I get an instant message. It's like, how do I know you? I'm like, dude, I stalk you. Like everything you post, I comment on. So I guess I became his friend.
Sure. He's like happy to get the support too.
Correct. We all need somebody to help promote what we do.
Right. To believe.
And Seth and I met, and he went all in on Atlanta radio.
That's great.
3 years ago. Wow. 3 years ago. So he's here also.
Yeah. I saw your photo that you posted with him on your social.
And it's been amazing.
Wow.
And getting somebody in my business that was out in the open in your business as an influencer, as a helper, as someone that other lawyers looked up to.
That's
it
great.
Gave me this legitimacy in the industry like that.
If he works with him, I want to work with him. If he trusts him, I trust him.
So I was fortunate that he was one of those vocal influencers in the legal industry. So I'm grateful to Seth. And
that's awesome.
3 years later, I get calls from a lawyer. Oh, you want to hear about me? Don't listen to what I have to say.
Sure.
Call Mark Anajar. Call Seth Bader.
Yeah.
Call Chad Dudley. Call these names that are influencers.
Right.
And people in the legal industry that other lawyers want to be like.
Right. It's a resume.
We met on Instagram.
Yeah. Probably like around COVID era, 2021.
Well, yeah. You were also a pioneer.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
I started my account in 2019. So yeah, that was the beginning.
So I found you.
Yeah.
And there became a relationship.
Yep.
I think we met at a conference in Atlanta for the first time.
That's right.
But then we've gone out and had drinks.
Yep.
Here in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And relationships can be born.
Sure.
On the internet.
It's amazing.
If they're done with intention.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing how many people you meet on the internet. And then you come to these conferences and you're like, there's that person. I've never met them. I follow them. I see what they post. And you kind of feel like you know them. You feel like you're their friend. Right? Like you with Seth.
Well, if you think about the origins of Facebook and Instagram, you went on Facebook first.
Right.
I was an adult. You were probably a teenager.
I was in law school when it came out.
Okay, so you were still a kid.
We're like, what is this?
So you reconnected with friends from elementary school.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that long ago for you.
Right.
I reconnected with people from 30 years ago.
That's amazing.
And we know everything about one another.
Right.
Because we put our positive life out there.
Sure. Yeah. The sliver that we all put out. The highlights.
Call it fake book a little bit, right? Because we all have things that set us back.
Yeah.
Not many are vulnerable enough to put it out there.
Very true.
I know you're interviewing somebody a little later today who has become a master of vulnerability.
Yeah, I know. We'll talk about it with her, but she has put it out there, which I find so admirable. And you know, I've gone through a similar situation that I was like, do I put that out there? Do I showcase that? Do I talk about it? you kind of don't know. You don't know how it's going to be received. You don't know if that's what people want to hear. But I love the courage that she just took on her own and was like, I'm going to do this.
So if you think about it,
Yeah.
she's doing it for her.
Sure. It's a healing. It is.
But if it helps one other person,
Right.
because you've been through it, I've been through it,
Yep.
she's going through it.
Right.
There isn't a more painful time in our life than to have this separation.
Right.
It's
Horrific.
the person you fell in love with. We don't, I think I at least could say, I love
Sure.
my ex,
Right.
but we weren't right to live together. I don't
Right.
want bad.
Right.
Mother my children. But then you sit there and do you air this?
I know.
If it helps you,
I know.
I'm 100% for it. Because
Right.
we have to be great for our children.
Sure.
No matter what
we
age
got
they
to.
are.
We have to make sure we are our best to be the best parent we can be to them. Yeah, 100%.
And what you raise at home,
Sure.
you also have to take to business.
Yeah.
Whether you're a lawyer, a marketer, a dentist,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what your profession.
Right.
The moment you leave home, happy or not, you have to come to work and you have to be great for people.
Yes, you absolutely do.
You are in the service business.
Right.
You help people get well
Yeah.
in the hardest time of their life.
Yep.
The hardest phone call to make is to a lawyer.
Right.
Do you know why people are so afraid to call you?
They're so afraid of the process. They're so afraid of the way we've been marketed. I mean, we're scary people in the media, in the mainstream. We're there to take advantage of people. We're ambulance chasers, as we talked about before the podcast started. Everything negative that you can associate with a lawyer has already been ingrained in someone's mind. So why would you want to call them? It's scary.
So the number one reason that somebody doesn't want to call you, you're expensive.
True. They think it's going to cost.
Your clientele is not the same as you in a socioeconomic way.
True.
We lose sight that we are very, very fortunate.
Right.
The people around us are similar to us,
Right.
but your clientele is not
Right.
where you are. Yes, we are all equal,
Sure.
but they have a fear.
Right.
Your friends who are not lawyers,
Right.
they know who to call if they have a legal issue. And I bet you get a lot of calls about a lot of weird legal things.
Yep.
That's not your specialty,
Sure.
but you could help them find.
That's right. Somebody.
But that phone call they make to you, Gordi, is comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But think about this. Who have you had a call that was uncomfortable?
Probably a lawyer in a divorce as well.
Oh,
So that's something that is so insightful, is because you're working on this side, but then when you actually have to hire an attorney yourself, even though you're an attorney, even though you understand the process, even though you know what all it is entailed, it's still scary, right? So it's like, I can only imagine how scary it is for that potential client to pick up the phone, because I have a level of comfort already. They don't.
but I think some of the law firms out there in the personal injury space lose sight of that.
Very much.
Did you hear Chad Selly speak yesterday?
No, we
in
were
the
recording.
red jacket?
No, I'm sad I missed it.
Okay. He said something very interesting. When somebody calls your office, what department are they getting?
The intake.
What does that mean to somebody outside?
They probably don't know what it is, but it's someone just intaking the information, asking the right questions, vetting the case, and seeing, is this something that our firm can help you with?
Okay, so now let me ask you a question. How would that make you feel if you were part of an intake?
It's so clinical, so not warm and fuzzy. So it's just odd, And
So what if
that's
they got your customer advocate department,
right.
client advocate?
Someone that makes them feel safe,
Correct.
warm, and protected.
I see lawyers train their intake departments to be empathetic. That is the most misused word in your profession. Because how many people answer the phones at your office to be a client advocate?
They probably don't think of it that way, but
How
that's how
many?
they should.
How many?
I
Do you
mean,
have 2, 3?
yeah,
Okay. Of the 3, how many have been in a serious accident?
probably 30%, 33%.
But no, your
One out of the
employees.
3. Yeah.
But if you've never been in that situation,
How do you know?
so sympathy,
Yes.
we could all sympathize.
Right.
We can't all empathize.
Empathize. That's different. That's being in that situation.
I can't talk about what giving birth is like.
Right.
I could sympathize. I've watched it 4 times.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody does it twice.
Sure.
Don't know how you girls do it.
Right.
But sympathy versus empathy
Right.
is, in my opinion, the word that should be trained.
I think it's honest to be sympathetic. Empathetic might not be the honest way.
But that's the word used.
Sure.
Now they go through their journey with your client advocate, and now it's time to sign
Right.
with the law firm. What do you call that?
Client fee agreement.
Client fee agreement.
Very sterile document.
How about it's time to do paperwork?
Sure.
So we have everything laid out for you so you understand exactly what we're going to go through.
Right.
So what Chad did was he's a wordsmith.
Right.
He changed a few words to make it more comfortable
Right.
for the end user, who without them, there's no law firm.
Right. Absolutely.
But so many people, we speak about the industry, the profession,
Right.
in the terms that are used within the profession.
Right.
You know what a radio station is.
Yep.
And if I told you I worked at a cluster,
I would have no idea what that
no
is.
idea. It's a group of radio stations. It's
Sure.
called the cluster.
Sure.
Well, people don't want to buy a cluster. They want to reach people.
Right.
So I had to learn to lose that word
Right. And use
because
something.
people outside don't know.
What that is.
When I sit down with Gordi to talk about radio,
Sure.
I will never talk to you about individual stations,
Right.
because individual stations on their own will take you forever to make a dent in your community.
Right.
You have to have a marketing plan.
Right.
You have to have ownership. No different than you have your team have ownership of every case
Yep.
that comes through your doors.
Very true. That's a great approach.
We're in the people business.
Right. And I think sometimes people get so caught up in the industry and the legality and the words and the phrases, and those things are further off-putting to a potential client who's already scared. And it's interesting when you're a lawyer and you have to hire a lawyer, and it's just a reminder. What can we do better at our firm? How can we make the client feel more comfortable? How can we make them feel safer to call us, to want to reach out to us?
Think about this. Did you ever look at one of your attorney bills from your divorce attorney?
Oh, yeah.
Every frickin' text
Oh yeah. What's your favorite color? $100.
And you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yet you've never billed a client on
Never.
an hourly basis.
No. And we
At
talk till it's
4 a.m.,
Yeah.
you're on the phone.
Right.
My God. But wouldn't it be nice to get $100 for a 4 a.m. text?
Yeah, you probably feel more motivated to answer, which is why sometimes I feel like personal injury attorneys really do get a bad rap. I feel like we wouldn't do it except unless we cared for the clients, because we are the ones that are taking those calls. We are the ones that are signing those clients and maybe traveling hours to go meet them, at their home because they can't travel. And it's like, we care about them and we're not making the money during the process and as much communication as we have with them. So you have to be caring. You have to want to help people to do that, to work on a contingency fee.
Have you ever seen or heard a commercial about the lawyer traveling to go see the client?
No,
Why not?
because they don't want to offer that to the client. So the client doesn't say, yeah, come to my house.
But that's what matters.
That is what matters.
And that's the misconception
Right.
of the ambulance chaser.
Sure.
God forbid you
Right.
get a call at 5 a.m. that somebody was just flown to some hospital here,
Right.
trauma center.
Right.
How fast would you be at that trauma center?
You're going. You're
How
going.
fast?
Very fast.
5 a.m. You're,
You're
jumping
going.
out of bed. You're finding somebody to watch your kids.
Yep.
And you're there.
Right. That's right.
The average public has no idea that you and people like you who actually care would do that.
Right.
Yet nobody talks about that.
Nobody advertises that
What do
way.
they advertise?
They advertise that we're ambulance chasers, but in fact, yeah, we're chasing the ambulance to the hospital because the client called us and told us they needed our help. I guess that's the only way we could be an ambulance chaser.
I got you a big check.
Yeah. It's all about that. It's all about the check. It's all about the bottom line. It's all about that.
So those people who market like that are being intentional.
Right.
Be different.
And that's why, and actually, so when I go back to my profession prior to being a personal injury attorney, I split it in half when I was an assistant attorney general. That was the thing that made me not want to be a personal injury attorney, was the marketing. I felt even as an attorney that it was slimy. It was not people that had the client's best interests at heart because of the way they were marketing themselves. And then when I did take a leap and I did decide to go into personal injury, I was like, oh, this is the private sector's ability to help people. I've been helping people in the public sector as an attorney general for so many years. And now I can go into the private sector and still get that warm and fuzzy feeling at the end of the day. But nobody was marketing like that. And it was off-putting even to me.
Marketing is done for one reason. Set yourself apart so at that moment of truth, you're going to be thought of.
Right.
A lot of discussion at PIMCon here was about brand.
Yeah.
Brand is everything today.
It really is.
I was chatting with somebody about phone numbers. Think about this. Do you remember your mother's home phone number
Yeah.
when you were growing up?
Sure.
And you could recite it to me right now.
Right.
We're not going to give it to the world to call. Now, you're in personal injury. So let's take out personal injury for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And give me the phone number for one business that you know off the top of your head.
Probably Lerner and Rowe would be called.
Take PI out because you're in that business.
Oh, okay.
Get rid of PI.
Oh, jeez. They're being advertised. It's something easy.
Give me one of them.
Maybe emergency chiropractic. I feel like
What's
they
the phone
had.
number?
I can't recall it, but I do remember that they were just so heavy on the phone number with their advertising, and it was intentional. It was easy to remember. But as we've now gone into the cell phone world, I don't recall it, but it was very specific around making that number easy to remember. That was the jingle. The jingle went along with the phone number. So,
But you don't know it.
I don't know it. I can't remember. Maybe we've moved too far into the cell phone era.
But that's the point.
Right.
If you now think about driving through Phoenix, how many billboards do you see with phone numbers?
They're less and less now with the phone numbers.
Why?
They're dropping it. And that is something that's interesting. When I was talking to a billboard company, they said nobody does that anymore. Because if they are going to use you, they're going to look you up. They're going to find you. They're not going to really remember that phone number. They're not going to worry about it. They'll get the phone number.
But I could tell you my phone number every day for the next month.
Right.
I could call you.
Right.
And just, Gordi, it's Gary. Here's my phone number.
All right.
6 months from now.
Right.
I don't know Gary's phone number.
Yeah.
We don't need to know anything anymore.
Sure. The information's at our fingertips.
Siri.
Yeah.
Call Gordi.
Yeah.
And my phone will find you.
Yeah. That's
Done.
right. That's right.
Now, if I need a lawyer, either the advertising's worked and I do a branded search for the person that I want to reach, or I type in some phrase.
Sure.
And if you're not at the top of the fold, your PPC, your LSAs, your GMBs, now you're at the bottom.
Right.
You better hope that there's an educated consumer that wants to read your website because they're clicking on the ads.
Yeah, for sure.
So for us, we make the digital marketing companies look great.
Right.
Because nobody picks up the phone and says, oh my God, I heard your radio commercial and I had to call you.
Yeah.
We can't manufacture a need for your profession.
Right.
But we could build a brand. Who are you? What do you do? And how should I reach you? Make it simple. Own it.
Make it simple. That's the hard part for the attorneys. And that's something that they also talked about at the conference yesterday is we're overcomplicating it. We're making it the big words, the catastrophic injury lawyer. What the hell does that mean to the average consumer?
Well, catastrophic to somebody who, let's say, earns less than $50,000,
Right.
drives a 2015 Honda Accord,
Right.
okay?
Right.
They don't have a car today.
It's catastrophic.
That's catastrophic.
Right.
The end user is all that matters.
Right.
Catastrophic to lawyers is something really, really bad.
Yeah.
Well, that person who can't drive their 2015 Honda Accord, that's really, really bad.
It's perspective. It's through the lens of the consumer. I think oftentimes we don't pay attention to that as lawyers when we're marketing.
As people.
Sure.
As people.
Right. I think that's great advice.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I know you're so busy. You have a lot of people that you're talking to. You're doing your red carpet as well. So thanks for taking the time. It was so fun chatting with you. And even though I know you and I've known you for some years now, just learning how you got into this, how you've started your company has just been so insightful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you going to come to the red carpet later?
Yes.
Perfect.
Most likely, depending upon when we wrap with her. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gordi.
Thank you for tuning in to Talk Legal to Me. Remember, you can listen to us everywhere you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple. And if you want to watch along, visit my YouTube channel at Lawyer Gordi. Until next time, stay informed, stay legal, and stay fabulous, besties.